The Out of Bounds Show podcast is brought to you by Kessler Prime. For the best steaks in Mississippi, visit Kessler Prime in the Renaissance.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
This is Out of Order.
Live in the studio. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Low Bounds. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9.
All set? Let's go.
The Zone.
All right, good morning. Sorry, my microphone fell down off the thing, and that was odd. Anyway, right now we're good. I may switch microphones. We'll see how that works. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. By the way, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, WRKS. I want to say good morning. Good morning. Hope you had a good weekend. Great weather. Good times up in Starkville watching some baseball and on the boat yesterday. Speaking of, Blake, we need to sell the microphone.
Correct. Correct.
It's a no-brainer.
If you want your logo on the microphone and in all the videos constantly. So that's every 22-minute interview segment. That's 22 minutes of airtime, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can make that work.
Okay. All right.
I can get a guy to wrap
I
them
expect to
real
have
quick.
that sold by either the end of business day today or the end of Friday this week. Good. All right, the Out of Bounds Show is powered by the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook and award-winning Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. Hope you're doing well. Welcome in. You can hit us up on the Farm Bureau Insurance call-in line, 601-707-3750. Twitter handle at BowBounds. And all the facts are on Twitter, right, Blake?
That's correct.
Okay.
Facts only on Twitter.
Facts only. It's a facts only Twitter Monday. Interesting.
Correct.
Okay. And the Mississippi Ag John Deere tractor text line is 601-885-3776. Good weekend, Blake?
It was a great weekend. We had baseball in the SEC. We had Major League Baseball. We had March Madness, and arguably the best college basketball game I've ever watched with my own two eyes.
And Easter. So, yeah, I mean, it was a heck of a weekend for sure.
It was a beautiful weekend.
And the weather was great.
Exactly. It was glorious.
I was very happy about that for sure.
Can't complain about a weekend like this weekend.
I have not spent that much time in the outfield for a whole game. I usually move around, right?
Yeah.
I'm a mover.
Well, you're antsy.
I am.
Is the word.
The idea of me, locking in one place is just not usually going to happen. And I stayed in the outfield for the whole game on Saturday. It was perfect weather.
Proud of you.
Yeah. People were cooking amazing food on the grill and kept offering me food.
What'd you have?
Quick
rundown.
At one spot, I had these jalapeno poppers
Ooh.
that were bacon wrapped.
Underrated.
Which I thought were
tailgate.
amazing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they had deer sausage on the grill, and I had a little bit of that. I had a piece of pork tenderloin. Then I moved over to another spot, and they were grilling wings and thighs and breasts and
all the good parts of the
so
chicken.
on. Yeah.
All the parts.
Yeah.
That's delicious.
It was great.
Yeah, it
and then
sounds
this
good.
other guy beside us kept bringing us food. I think he was into the Miller Lite, but he was having a large time. He had on a Hawaiian shirt.
That's key.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to
the life of the party.
That's what I was about to say. When you go to an outdoor sporting event and there's a man over 40 in a Hawaiian shirt,
yeah,
and if he has facial hair, you can go ahead and assume that guy is who you need to become friends with.
Yes. So he tapped us. He was on a rig beside us, or
Yeah.
maybe two over. I couldn't figure that out.
Or just wherever he wanted to
Yeah,
be.
I think he was just roaming around. Anyway, he had 2 plates of food, and he kept coming over, and I thought, well, he was cooking pork chops, but he was slicing them up.
So it's like Texas de Brazil at the dude.
Yeah,
he just kept bringing you meat,
and he was also a waiter.
Yeah, keep that card on green, Bob.
And he was having a large time. I think he had gone numb.
There you
and
go.
so
Comfortably numb.
He was very, very happy.
Like that Pink Floyd reference?
Yes.
Right there?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a good. Well, it was I said that Saturday. It was the perfect weather. I don't know if I've ever been to that perfect of a weather.
Your emotional baseball tweets are so awesome.
Well, I mean, baseball's an emotional
very
game.
sappy, and it's like you're kind of trying to write a poem on Twitter.
You got to enjoy the little things every now and then.
I could not help but laugh in a good way at your tweets on Saturday.
Baseball's unlike any sport. Baseball's about enjoying the process. It's the journey, not the destination.
Can I read one of my favorite tweets of the weekend?
Yeah, come on,
All
man.
right, this guy named Gray, I don't know who he is, tweeted this after the Gonzaga UCLA game. I guess he's an Ole Miss fan, so maybe that's how I got
Gray
caught
Hardison?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Okay. All right, so here's what he tweeted Saturday night.
This is a good tweet.
If Ole Miss lost like UCLA did, I'd get kicked out of every Applebee's in the Indianapolis area for standing on the bar and shrieking about the cruelty of sports with a zesty app in one hand and a cold domestic in a wine glass in the other.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah.
I thought that guy was funny.
I think State and Ole
Do
Miss
you know who that guy is?
Yeah, he's a funny follow on Twitter.
Okay.
State and Ole Miss fans agreed with that one. That loss was. I mean, look, we have the last 4 seconds of regulation. It was an incredible game.
All right, we'll drop it. Big dog.
Short, got it back, ties it with 3. Gonzaga has time to do something. Suggs for the win. Season remains on go. Are you? Oh my God! There are onions, Jim, and then there are major onions with a kiss.
Wrath.
With a kiss.
Wrath.
I love that guy.
That guy is I mean, that was Nance on the play call, but that guy is a legendary college basketball color analyst. And 9 million times better than Dick Vitale.
Onions. I love it. Everybody knows
there's
onions.
and then there's major onions.
With a kiss. Oh, man. If that doesn't get you fired up.
We refer to them as stones, but Bill Rath has referred to them as onions for a long time. And he was cut from that Big East cloth.
Yeah.
Back when all those teams were rolling.
You tie the game.
No.
After being down 7 late in regulation, you get called for a charge to end the game when you had the ball, could have had a possession. Your boy, Johnny Juzang, the guy who led you the whole way, has the ball, gets called for a charge. You go to overtime. You're down 5 with 1 minute and 7 seconds left. You tie it up again with 3.3 seconds left because Juzang makes an amazing play off a missed shot.
I thought UCLA did a terrible job in their last possession in regulation.
100%. Could have won it in regulation.
Last night, same thing happened when I was watching Arizona and Stanford in the national championship. Go ahead. I don't understand.
You tie it in overtime, and with 3 seconds left, you can't get somebody in front of the ball. And Jalen Suggs, who made the play of the game on the block and dunk play late in regulation.
One of the biggest college basketball plays in the history of college basketball. And the skill level that takes
is astronomical.
People focus on the block. No. It's taking several dribbles and making a one bounce pass 50 feet to a guy that is running full speed and executing that play through traffic is nothing short of remarkable.
Yeah.
But the fan focuses on the block.
Look, both plays were incredible. The whole sequence was amazing. All of that said, you then give up a 3 on a bank shot from 40 feet away to lose 93-90 in overtime.
But Suggs took just enough dribbles, understood the basketball IQ on the floor for Gonzaga UCLA.
Was next level.
Oh, dude, it's it's like a bunch of the best students from MIT getting together later in the morning and having coffee and debating something, some algorithm or something. I mean, the basketball IQ on the floor was through the roof. We'll be back in a second. Welcome in. Good morning. The Out of Bounds Show podcast is presented by Edwin Watts Golf Shop on County Line Road. Your golf game starts with Edwin Watts Golf Shop.
What's on the big board?
I'm having some issues between my headsets and my microphone today. So they're just trying to mess with me.
This is what happens when you take a day off.
Yeah.
You get rusty.
I know.
You're not the consummate professional that I am.
Right. Well, I still made you come up to the studio on Friday.
That's true.
So
I did have to do about 20 minutes of work.
I know.
20 minutes too much.
Isn't that rough? and then you went to Starkville.
It's a hard knock
and
life.
You tweeted out emotional baseball post all weekend.
I thought it was interesting that you said that you like to move around usually and stuff like that. I'm so superstitious about baseball. I started behind the plate Friday night. We were okay, but we didn't capitalize on the runs. When they hit the 2-run home run, had to move seats, change seats. We started scoring and winning. I don't want to say I'm the catalyst for success, but if the shoe fits,
Sure. Well, you're pretty good at patting yourself on the back.
Yeah. Well, somebody needs to be.
Right. It was a good weekend for Mississippi State baseball.
It was a important weekend.
Well, they needed a sweep. They may not have had to have it, but they needed it, and they got it. And Kentucky's pretty good. It's not your dad's Kentucky. Mingione needs to win more games. Granted, they were 5-1 going in, but he has some players. And my takeaway, Ole Miss survived going to Gainesville, which is, some would say it was a good weekend. Some would be disappointed. It may be in between. I thought it was a solid to pretty good weekend. You got a game. The last game could have gone either way.
Exactly. I mean, competitive. You won one and were competitive in all three.
Right. It was a very close series from start to finish. But Mississippi State sweeping. Here's what jumps out at me. They're different teams. I don't think there's a big difference in either team. Now, they're totally different as far as kind of what they're doing. In a way, I mean, they also have some really good pitching at times. But I think Mississippi State is in major transition in the field and at the plate. And, their first baseman is like 2 for 40. That's a tough deal when you're not getting any pop from that position. I think they were going to try to shake off Jake Mangum's shadow last year, but they didn't get 56 games to do it. And they don't have a leader that has, emerged in the clubhouse yet. And because of that, they're just trying to find their way. I mean, overall, their record's good, and they're having a good year. I don't see anything I see some special in the pitching. You're just not a super hitting club. The fielding's still kind of whoa. And it looks to me like you're kind of in transition in the lineup. And and this is not a shot, obviously. This is a compliment to Jake Mangum. This is the year, instead of last year, that you're going to have to try to shake the shadow of his leadership and everything that he brought to the ballpark on a daily basis. And there's just not one. So I think everybody keeps looking around. This is natural in anything we do. When a church loses, I'm talking about a 0.001% priest or preacher, you don't follow it up with the same deal. It just doesn't happen, okay? And, just kind of the presence and the impact that man or woman has on that congregation is kind of game changer and so on, community changing. And I think that they'll need this year to shake the Jake Mangum shadow.
Can I argue also that we wouldn't have seen so much of a drop-off because you had 2 Major League Baseball hitters in the roster last year, and you definitely don't even have that I mean, I don't think Foscue and Westberg were going to be Jake Mangum influences in the locker room, but in the lineup, you could argue they'd be just as impactful, if not more so.
Yeah.
And you had that last year. And can I ask, and I think Chris Lemonis is doing a good job recruiting, at least the numbers say he is, but, I mean, where's the next
difference maker
guy built that way?
You're asking where's the next Westberg or Foscue?
Yeah. Or and I don't, he doesn't have to have the success, but Rooker, where's the next win where's the next guy who, when he steps into the plate, you go, okay, he can change the game on one swing? Because right now, I mean, I think you thought Cam James could be that. You thought Tanner Allen could do some things like that, gap to gap, not so much just long ball, but
right.
I mean, with runners in scoring position, last time I checked, Mississippi State was under 200 hitting.
Yikes.
With runners in scoring position.
Yikes.
And that's the difference. You don't have to hit home runs, but if you have a guy on second base, you need to hit a single, not a pop-up. When you have a guy at third base with one out, you have to score him, not leave him in third base with one out.
And they go to Auburn this weekend, and Auburn's playing better baseball.
Yeah.
And Ole Miss will host the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Second top 3 matchup in the state of Mississippi involving the Arkansas Razorbacks already this season.
Man, oh man. Swayze will be rocking. Let's go back to Gonzaga UCLA real quick. The Louis Riddick, who's a great NFL guy for ESPN, he tweeted out after the Gonzaga I'd like to ask our listeners too. Did you watch the game? I know basketball is the third sport. Would you text in if you watched the game, please?
Please.
Blake and I were debating if like 50% of our audience watched the game. I know we got to, it's SEC football, which we're going to dive into with Steve Robertson at 7:35 on the scrimmage in Starkville from Saturday. And then we have David Johnson, Rebels 247 at 8:30 to talk football. But did you watch the game? Shoot us a text on the Mississippi Ag text line, 601-885-3776. 885-3776. Just yes, no, whatever. But I would, I'd love, and look, if you missed it, this is what Louis Riddick's a football guy, and here's what he tweeted out. Live sports in the moment, greatest form of entertainment there is, period. There's no question. There is no, let me read it again. Live sports in the moment, greatest form of entertainment there is, period.
It's because no one knows what will happen.
That's right.
It's the only thing no one knows what will happen.
Yeah.
It's why the stock market is so entertaining.
True.
It's the sports for some people. It's the sports for financial world, right?
It's a good point.
It's the same thing. It's live in the moment action. Saturday night, I have not been that entertained by a basket. Take out the word college. I haven't been that entertained by two teams running up and down the floor with an orange ball trying to put it in an orange hoop since I was in high school.
Really?
That was the I have not sat through and watched, especially two teams that I don't really even care about at all.
No, I mean that's all of my audience.
I didn't have any money on the game at all.
Unless your brackets. Are you in the top 5?
I am, I think so. I'll pull that up. I have both title teams.
Okay.
I got 3 of the 4. I missed on UCLA. I had Alabama there, so missed on that one.
I want to know how many people in our bracket have both title teams, because if they don't, then you're going to win. So how many people have Gonzaga and Baylor for tonight's game?
There were a lot of Gonzaga pickers. I think I saw Matthew Berry with ESPN said 16.8% of ESPN brackets had these two title winners.
Okay.
Or these two teams in the title.
Okay.
I mean, these were the two best teams coming into the tournament. I think it was Michigan was kind of that one outlier, but they had some injury issues. Baylor and Gonzaga have been dominant year to date.
Man, haven't they? Baylor smoked Houston on Saturday. So did you watch the game? The Mississippi Ag John Deere Tractor text line is 601-885-3776. 885-3776. Now, Blake, I'm different than you. Benardrick McKinney, by the way, is about to join Good Morning Football, which I thought was cool. That just caught my eye. Villanova, North Carolina, a few years ago was an amazing title game. Cleveland, Golden State, when LeBron was down 3-1,
Yes.
I was glued to that series, and LeBron somehow willed the Cavs to win. Those are just 2 examples in the last 8 years of just absolutely jaw-dropping, amazing, basketball games and/or series. Welcome in. Good morning. Steve Robertson, Hail State Insider, 7:35 on the Modelo guest line. The show is powered by Mississippi Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center. Welcome in. Good morning. Buckle up.
You're listening to the Out of Bounds Show podcast powered by the Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino at the Pearl River Resort. To get in on the action, visit Golden Moon Casino today.
Come on.
Everyone ready?
This is the SEC Insider Hit. Presented by your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Go local. Go with a home team.
Yeah, Blake and I were talking about Dudy Noble Field, and the old outfield was good, and I know it's nostalgic and had a lot of tradition there, but the sight lines in the outfield are so much better. And you notice you don't hear anybody complaining. I mean, your rig is better, your grilling area, the bathrooms, the space, you can walk.
General accessibility, yeah.
Yeah, the traffic flow, so to speak, is so much better. And I remember when I said that several years ago, you would have thought, that I called somebody a bad name. But it's strong. It is. It is very, very strong, what they did in the new stadium. And still kind of taking it in, as you bounce around and experience the game from different areas. What's crazy is I'm not even sure they built enough,
That's correct.
Premium space. But I mean, it's a great ballpark, and they did a great job. So
just need to build another loft section back there to the left, and then one to the right, and then that way you get more seating.
Yeah, I actually think they need more rigs, but
could you?
I don't think they can do a third level, but I'm not an architect, Blake.
That's what I was about to say.
Some listening right now.
Is there a way to add a third level of rigs?
I don't know with the lofts behind it and some other stuff, but maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Maybe you only can add it on the right side. You have to readjust that scoreboard, but maybe you can add it on one side at least. I don't know.
Maybe. Oh, well, it's still a great park. And, it was packed on Saturday. So, good times. Mississippi State swept Kentucky. Ole Miss loses 2 of 3 from Florida, but very competitive series. And didn't get swept. You want to avoid getting swept. Mississippi State couldn't do that the week before against Arkansas. So, one's 7-2, and the other one's 5-4 in the conference. So there you go.
It's going to be a massive battle to the end.
LSU was swept again, back-to-back sweeps for the first time since 2010.
Correct. It's their worst start since I think the 60s or 70s in SEC play. They're 1-8, and Mississippi State's their 1.
Yeah,
and you look back at it, you go, "Wow, maybe wasted an opportunity to have a sweep there."
That's right.
Because LSU has not looked anywhere close to talented.
You know they have good players, but would LSU run Maneri? He won it in 2009.
Yep.
So you're looking at about 12 seasons. That's a lifetime down at LSU. I mean, I'm saying that to two fan bases that have never won it, but had a lot of success. Obviously, Mississippi State's lack of a title is gut-wrenching for the fan base.
Yes.
Or allowing LSU to win 7 and not winning 1, I guess, is another way to... No, 6. Right?
6.
Yeah, Bertman had 5. Maneri has 1.
They've lost...
I think I have that right.
Yeah, Maneri lost in 2017.
Okay.
Was the College World Series runner-up.
To Kevin O'Sully-Sullivan?
Yep.
Okay.
Florida's only national title.
That's hard to believe, too.
It is.
But anyway, they'll get another one, though, sooner than later, I think, down there. The way that... I mean, it's sick the way they recruit. Live in the Bank Plus studio, the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, is brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Go to favorites.com. Takes 4 minutes or less. Check it out. Get a quote. Save. Farm Bureau Insurance call-in line is 601-707-3750. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. We're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app, and right now you can watch the show on YouTube. Search Out of Bounds Sports. Unbelievable weekend, really, with UCLA Gonzaga. Was nothing short of amazing. Some of you watched it, some of you didn't. I was absolutely glued to the TV on Saturday night and couldn't get enough of the level of play. Seriously, 47 assists. Do you know how many AAU coaches were watching that game and confused? They didn't even know what they were watching. 47 assists on 71 baskets.
58% shooting, both teams. That's elite.
The best since 1985.
Yeah.
That is elite. The basketball IQ on the floor was ridiculous. You could tell they like playing together. They like sharing the ball. They understand space, and they understand what to do when they don't have the basketball.
Yeah.
Which is not the way AAU is built. So there were AAU coaches around the country watching the game, Gonzaga and UCLA Saturday night, and they were confused. They didn't know what they were in their sweatsuits. Yeah. Again, most of them are handlers. In their sweatsuits, and they didn't even, it was foreign to them what they were watching.
I got to say, Johnny Juzang leaving
worked out?
Kentucky and going to UCLA really worked out for him.
Let's tell our listeners that real quick. All right, so Johnny Juzang was with Calipari in Kentucky.
Correct.
He's from California.
Correct.
He decided to transfer to UCLA. He's had a super year, and he just decided to drop 29. In college basketball, this is like scoring 50 in the NBA. He decided to drop, no, it's like scoring 60. 29 points and 6 boards, and the guy was 12 of 18 from the field.
He scored 20 or more points 4 times in the NCAA tournament.
Is that good?
Yeah, they only played 5 games.
Okay. Well, and he's got a really cool name.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the Modelo guest line and welcome in Steve Robertson, GenesPage.com, the Boneyard Podcast, Nickelback's #1 fan in the Sun Belt. We welcome in Steve Robertson to the Out of Bounds show on ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Steve, good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm trying to decide if you and I can pull off the sweatsuit look. I'm thinking we can. Matter of fact, I'm going to order a crushed velvet Adidas tracksuit today.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, man. That's great. Yes, please do that and get some pictures and send them to us. Wear it in studio. That'd be even better. We'll do a hit with Steve in studio, and he's wearing his super fresh velvet Adidas sweatshirt. What color would you go with?
Oh, I think I got to go black, but I am going to think about this. I am really going to think about this. So.
Steve, if you get one, I'll get one, and I'll wear it with you to a game
good.
or something.
Will you stop ruining it and trying to get into everything? You already piggyback off everything I do. Now you're trying to get – we're trying to do something here.
Are you going to get one?
Who?
You.
No,
I want you.
Steve's going to do it. I'm not going to rain on his parade.
I want both of you to wear one.
You're trying to already make me up. You're trying to upset me on Monday morning. It's incredible. All right, let's go back to Steve. Go ahead, Steve.
One more thing about that. See, if we could do this, we could be like an early 90s dance troupe. You know what I'm saying? Like those guys that came in the club together.
That'd be cool.
That's what we could do. And we could do the Kid and Play in studio.
Ooh, that would be awesome. We've got enough room. Okay. Maybe we could probably get that sponsored. Let me think about that, and we'll work back from there. We've got some time. Okay, I want to start with football instead of baseball. Everybody and their brother were talking football in the left field lounge when I was there on Saturday. So let's start with this. What was your one big takeaway from Mike Leach's scrimmage on Saturday?
Well, I think the main thing is that neither team dominated. And that's probably a best-case scenario for you, is you have some flashes, you have some things you can celebrate, but you also have some things to correct. And I think that's exactly what you want, because if you came out there and you're like, man, the offense threw for 700 yards, you're like, what? Did Zach Arnett leave and not tell anybody? And so I think those are the things you look at, is you really want these scrimmages, even when they're controlled and you're trying to put stress on one unit and put them in the red zone or put them in the shadow of their own goalpost, to see both units kind of perform, I think was big. But I do think that pass rush, with guys like Randy Charlton and Cam Young and Jordan Davis. I think that was probably a little bit better than I anticipated.
Okay. So the pass rush was better than you thought it would be.
Yeah, and listen, they blitz a lot, but that was a lot of that just kind of coming out of the base defense, and that's just having some individual wins. I mean, Jordan Davis is a guy that's up to 270 pounds now, but he still has that explosive first step. He's got incredibly long arms. And let's be honest, State doesn't beat LSU if Jordan Davis doesn't have those long arms, because you don't force that underthrow by Miles Brennan that Asai Spurge picks off. But they've moved him now, down to defensive end because, with Kobe Jones, Marquise Spencer moving on, State needs some edge rushers. And so I think the early returns on that move are very, very good.
Who stood out at linebacker on Saturday?
It's like Aaron Brule is constantly doing some good things, and, they've got, I think Nathaniel Watson will probably hang on to that Mike linebacker spot. He's finally kind of rounding into form and kind of closed the season in really good shape. But, Ty Wheat's a guy that's a freak. He's another guy running around 260 pounds and is still able to run in the 4.5s. He's a guy that can get off blocks and get in the backfield, but he can also get out and cover. And guys his size don't ordinarily move as well as he does. But I had one Bulldog coach tell me that when Aaron Brule decides that you're going to have a bad day of practice on offense, you have a bad day of offense on practice. That he is a guy that can kind of take over the game just because, he is so explosive. And, because of the fact that, he's one of those safeties that grew into an outside backer, he understands coverage a little bit better than some other guys, but he's a guy that's just relentless as a pass rusher. And that's one of the things that you hope to see with this scheme, this 3-3-5 alignment, is you have guys out there that can really make the offense stress, and he's doing some of that.
Steve Robertson, genespage.com on the Modelo guest line talking MSU football. How did Will Rogers look?
Efficient. Just what you'd expect. They hit a couple throws down the field, but, a lot of it was, kind of controlled stuff where you're working those crossing routes, you're checking the ball down, and, just a lot of what you'd expect Will to do. I guess he did have the one interception to Tyra Sweet, but just thought, what you'd expect Will Rogers to be, just smart with the football, does a good job of aiding pressure and getting out there and dumping the ball off to his guys. But, it's one of the things, too. I think really the bigger issue with the quarterback position is who's going to be number 2. And then it looked like it was going to be, Jack Abraham for a long time, but Lovertich got more of the snaps on Saturday when we were there. And so I think that battle is probably a little closer than maybe we thought. I think Lovertich is making this thing awfully interesting. And, he's not the biggest guy. He's a little bit shorter, and with that big, massive offensive line, I wonder sometimes how he would be able to kind of, see over the line. But when he gets flushed and has to get outside the pocket and be an athlete, he's able to do that. And I think it's not just a throw-in type deal where he just kind of shows up and is just hoping to be closer to home. That guy's really competing, and I think he's really pushing hard for that number 2 spot.
Interesting. Can you imagine if Abraham and Lovertich were 6'1", how good they'd be, or 6'2"?
Oh yeah, man, and that's the reason they went G5 in the first place. It wasn't necessarily because of the fact they didn't know how to play football. It's just that they didn't have Power 5 size, and so they got to go, fit in where they can get in, and that's what they did. Now they're taking a shot, gambling on themselves one more time. But I thought Lovertich did some good things, and I don't know that I expected him to get as many reps as he did, but he did, and he did a pretty good job.
Who else jumped out at you on the offensive side of the football?
Well, you know what Jaden Wally is, too. He caught the first touchdown. He did a nice job. And, Mekhi Polk is a guy that kind of came in kind of highly heralded, and he's kind of lived up to his billing. One of the things I'll note about that, too, and I mentioned this on my own show, is that you go out and you get Randy Charlton, and he had 2 sacks on the weekend. And you go out and get Mekhi Polk, who did some really good things. And you get Jalen Green. All 3 of those transfers running second team, all 3 of them. Now, I don't think that's an indictment on their ability. I think that's Mike Leach and the staff saying, listen, we're not going to give you anything just because you were a transfer coming from another program. You got to come in here and earn it. And, I think all 3 of those guys will eventually elevate into first team or certainly be major contributors on the second team. But I thought that was rather interesting that, these highly heralded guys that kind of uniformly are running second team as we as we get closer to halfway to spring practice being over. That they haven't elevated the first team yet, and I don't think that happens until fall camp. But I think that was interesting.
Steve Robertson, 247 Sports, on the Modelo guest line in the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Let's go to baseball. MSU sweeps Kentucky. So, what was your one big? I mean, they needed a sweep. I think Kentucky's pretty good. I mean, they came in 5-1. What was your takeaway on the Kentucky series?
Well, I thought it was a great result for Mississippi State, and I don't know if it's fair to say that State expected to sweep. You hoped you could sweep because Kentucky hasn't really played anybody. And listen, I think they're a scrappy ball club, but they have played the last place team in the West and the last place team in the East, and so they were 5-1 coming in. So I think you wondered, how good these guys are. Can they hit the baseball? And I thought they really competed well. I just didn't think they were probably one hitter away, from really competing. And Thursday, State has the 8-1 win, and you finally get the big timely hit to put somebody away. Cam James with the bases clear and double there that kind of removed all doubt late. And that's one of the things with this team I think's been missing is that when you have an opportunity to get some real separation late in ball games, they've had to rely more on the bullpen than they have that killer instinct. And so you get that on Thursday, and then you have some chances Friday and Saturday, and you don't do that. And so in order for this team, I think, to really elevate itself into top 8 national seed contention, you're going to have to get more of those timely hits when it's time to put the game away. And State was fortunate this weekend that the bullpen was able to kind of hold that up, because there will come a time when somebody else is going to rally late in the ball game, and you're going to have to match that.
How concerned should MSU baseball fans be on that? I mean, they're not hitting with runners in scoring position. They didn't pull away in Friday and Saturday. The flip side is they won. It's hard to win in the league, right? So I get that. It's hard to sweep in the league. I don't want to beat up on them too bad, but the bottom line is they look like they're into some serious transition in the lineup, both in the field and at the plate, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that's going to have to kind of grow up on the fly. And I guess the thing that's somewhat frustrating is that, you expect it from some of the younger guys. I mean, many of these guys, Cam James had never played an SEC game until this year. It seems like, they've been there forever. Never even played an SEC game. And so there's an adjustment period there. But you got guys like Josh Hatcher that, have been around and was playing the best baseball of his career last year. And then he's hitting around 200 now. And so Josh has got to elevate things. And there's no doubt about it. You're depending on that guy. You drop him in the order because of the fact that he's not producing RBI opportunities. But, that guy's got to come through. Now, it was good to see Rowdy, get some hits, and it's crazy. You just have a pop fly that drops in somewhere. Next thing you know, you're hitting again. He had a 3-hit ball game over the weekend. So that's encouraging. But, that it's part of it's baseball too. But the good thing is that State has a bullpen that can kind of make those one-run leads hold up later in the ball game. But I'd like to see them be able to finish games offensively a little more regularly.
All right, we've got a question here from some of our listeners. Steve Robertson, 247 Sports, genespage.com, the Boneyard Podcast. Where is the next difference maker? So where's the next five? This may not even be fair, but this team also recruits in the top 10 majority of the time. So where is the next Foscue Westberg type player coming from? Is he on the roster but just too young, or is it somebody they signed in November? Your thoughts?
Well, I really like Kite McDonald a lot. I mean, he's a doubles machine, and I think that he's a guy that could probably get some ABs later in the year. It's like, I guess if in worst case scenario, if you could always find a way to get Hancock in the lineup, maybe he plays first. Who knows? And then Kite McDonald could DH. But every time Kite McDonald's in the ball game, he hits the ball with some authority. I think he is a guy that'll be a big-time player long-term. Really like his makeup a lot. And I think Kellum Clark is going to be a big guy, too. I mean, of course, he gets in and kind of gets behind a little bit. But this is a guy whose makeup is very, very positive. There's a reason the Major League Baseball scouts are really excited about him. And, he's worked some at third. There's a possibility of him working some at first. And that was one of the things that we observed kind of changing gears a little bit, is that Luke Hancock took some in and out at first base this weekend against Kentucky, and that's not something I've ever seen. And usually it's just been Pimentel and Hatcher, but all of a sudden you see Hancock over there. So is there some things happening behind the scenes? Perhaps could Luke Hancock, a guy that's traditionally been a catcher, be an option at first base? I don't know. But I think, Chris Lemonis probably recognizes that, you got to get your best 9 hitters in the lineup. And, Hatcher, I think, is the only one that hadn't sat. Cam James has moved around from short to third, and Scotty DeBrule has come out of the ball game, and just on Saturday, Tanner Leggett started in his place. And so, outside of TA and Rowdy, Hatcher's the one mainstay in the lineup, and I think competition's good for him. And so that's just something to kind of watch. It's something we picked up on in pregame, that all of a sudden Hancock's out there fielding balls at first. Let me quote Billy Beane in Moneyball on that. When they were replacing Giambi with Scott Hatteberg, who nobody had ever heard of. Fielding doesn't matter at first base. And so, and I know that's not 100%, but that always jumped out at me both in the book and in the movie. Interesting what you just said right there. Would you rather have more barrel and, juice at the plate, knowing that you may give up, a play or two over 4 weeks at first, maybe not even that. I'd love to see the analytics on that. Interesting. All right, Steve Robertson, genespage.com on the Out of Bounds Show. One more, Steve. Talk about the energy and excitement and the pressure that he puts on defenses that Braylon Skinner brings to the table for Mississippi State. Well, it's just like the rally that got State back in the ball game on Friday. You're down 2-0, and then, it's crazy to think about this, but the Kentucky starter at the time, Stupp, he had walked 4 hitters the entire season, and he walks Braylon Skinner on 4 pitches, and sure enough, it comes back to haunt him. And that, that play at the plate. Number one, I give the Kentucky right fielder a lot of credit for coming up firing, and he almost threw a strike there. That ball's on the plate, Skinner's out. No doubt. But what an incredibly athletic play. It's like he's coming down the line, and he's able to adjust to the fact that the catcher has to kind of come in and go to his left to field the ball. So he basically pulls a Euro step, dive, hand plant at the plate. There's not anybody else on the roster, and I could argue probably not many guys in the country that make that play. And so that's the thing. It's on tape now. Everybody in the SEC is going to see that. And it's, hey, when this kid is on base, you better have him out by 10 feet. If not, he's going to find a way to get in there. Now, he's got to do some better jobs when he gets deeper in counts. He does a good job kind of working the count, but when it's a full count pitch, he's swinging. If it's anywhere close, he's swinging. You teach the guys, obviously, if it's too close to take, he is the personification of that. If it's not in the dirt over his head, he's going to get a hack on it. So he's got to be a little more selective with his pitch selection there. But he is such an incredible athlete and so dynamic out there. Anytime that he is on base and there is a ball in the gap, you expect him to score from first. He is just ridiculously fast from first to third. And I just don't know if there's anybody in the conference you look at that could beat him in a foot race. I got 20 seconds. Fristo's really stepped up. The freshman, third starter. You can't say enough about what he kind of got thrown into, Steve. No, and showing maturity beyond his years, and he wants to be that guy. And that's a big spot. Either you're going to be saving a series or sweeping a series. So, wow. All right, Steve. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks, Steve Robertson, the Boneyard Podcast, 247 Sports, genespage.com on the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save right now with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Go to favorites.com. That's favorites.com. Go local, go with the home team. Farm Bureau Insurance call-in line, 601-707-3750. David Johnson, Rebels 247 at 8:35 this morning. Welcome in. Here we go. Hour number 2 coming up.